So, Stu.
Yes.
Last night, Kamala Harris was on with Dana Bash, and it was interesting because I watched it trying to think of two things. One, a family member of mine who doesn't agree with me on what's going on in the country at all, doesn't see it, but doesn't really watch the news, read the news, listen to the news, just is like in their happy little world. And so I watched it as that family member, and then I watched it as somebody who is really up on things, okay? I think if you were really up on things, this interview last night was so agonizing because it was. I've never heard anything like it. I really haven't. Let me play a couple of cuts here. Here's Kamala, cut 3 on why she hasn't fixed the economy while she's in office.
My proposal includes what would be a tax credit of $25,000 for first-time home buyers, so they can just have enough to put a down payment on a home, which is part of the American dream and their aspiration, but do it in a way that allows them to actually get on the path to achieving that goal and that dream.
So you have been vice president for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Oh!
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%. The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. Donald Trump said he was going to do a number of things, including allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices. Never happened. We did it. So now, as I travel in the state of Georgia and around our country, the number of seniors that have benefited.
Notice what she's done here.
Stop.
Notice what she's done. She has completely sidestepped. She's a good learner. She completely sidestepped. Why didn't you do anything? Well, because, Donald Trump. I mean, we had to fix everything. The economy was in shambles. And, let me tell you about prescription drugs. He says that he negotiated, but we did it. He didn't do anything. And him. And now I can go out and I can see people who have insulin, and we don't have any problems. Wait, what does that have to do with the economy again? Okay, so she was slippery on absolutely everything.
Oh,
let's go.
I got to hit one more thing on that before we go.
Yeah.
You took actions to get the inflation rate down to 3%. From what? It wasn't 3% when Donald Trump was in office. It only is down to 3% from your terrible regime. When you had it at 9%, sure, it's down from whatever it was, 7 or 9% then. But 3% is almost double what it was when you took over. It's down to double? That's your argument?
And by the way, the prices never came down. So you're just taking the high prices from the 9% and you're adding 3.5% every year on top of those high prices. So that's why that doesn't work with people. Well, where the inflation is down. No, it's not. I still can't afford food. That's why. The next thing is about fracking. Listen to this one.
Oh, God.
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020 that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
In 2019, I believe, at a town hall, you said you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
What made you change that position at the time?
Yeah.
Well, let's be clear.
Yeah.
My values have not
changed. Let's be clear.
Oh, your values haven't changed?
I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must do to
now listen to this.
Guard against what is a clear crisis in terms of the climate. And to do that, we can do what we have accomplished thus far. The Inflation Reduction Act, what we have done to invest, by my calculation, over probably $1 trillion over the next 10 years, investing in a clean energy economy. What we've already done, creating over 300,000 new clean energy jobs. That tells me, from my experience as vice president, we can do it without banning fracking. In fact, Dana, I cast the tie-breaking vote.
Yeah, you did.
That actually increased leases for fracking.
A lot of tie-breaking votes that she didn't answer for. And
a lot of them.
That's an infuriating clip. Infuriating in 150 different ways.
You cannot be part of the Green New Deal and not ban fracking. Well, it's just impossible.
And I'd love to know.
So what is she saying?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I'd love to know exactly, because she says she did it on the debate stage in 2020. And you might remember, of course, she didn't even make it to 2020 in her campaign. She failed before Iowa. So she's talking about the vice presidential debate.
Vice president.
Right, where she's saying that. But like she says she will not change that going forward. Well, could she have promised that in 2019 too? How the hell do we know what she's going to change going forward? She's changed almost everything going forward.
So her answer to everything last night on the changes was very, very clear. Yes, but my values haven't changed. Okay, so what are her values? We know what her values are. The earth is number one priority. Okay, do whatever we have to do. She was for the Green New Deal. She even boasted about the Green New Deal becoming the Inflation Reduction Act and all the things they got through with the Inflation Reduction Act. So they admitted to lying to you about the Inflation Reduction Act. It had nothing to do with inflation. It had everything to do with the Green New Deal. So she's lying to you there. And her values, my values haven't changed. Well, I've seen your values. I don't like your values. You cannot change. You cannot remain with the same values and change your positions 180 degrees. Why? Unless one of your values is winning an election, doing whatever you have to do to win an election.
It's her only value. It's her only value, Glenn.
Yes.
And she
has some values.
Over and over again.
She
by
has
the
some
way,
values.
Glenn, I will say I give a little credit to Dana Bash, who actually did ask my question.
I know.
Right after this moment. Did you laugh at that? Because she said,
I did.
Was there some policy or scientific data that you saw that said, oh, okay, I get it now, we shouldn't ban fracking? And she basically just didn't answer it. Typical nonsense. But I mean, it was a good. I will say, Dana Bash, first third of that interview, not bad. And then just a giant plane crash after that.
All right. So I don't know if I've told this story before. Probably have. But when I was at Fox, Bill O'Reilly called me into his office. And he said, "What are you doing, man? They're going to kill you. They're going to kill you." And he was talking about the press and the left. And I said, "I don't care." And he said, "No, you need to care. You need to care." He said, "Or it will be very short-lived." And I said, "I'm only planning on being here for 2 years, Bill." He's like, "What is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't want to do this, but I'll listen." So he said, "Look, I have the audience and I have the corporations kind of a little afraid of me when I put their picture up on the No Spin Zone." And he said, "So here's what we're going to do. When you say something controversial and everybody's at your throat," he said, "you're going to come on to my show. And I'm going to ask you a tough question. And I might even follow it up with another tough question. But you need to understand this is a friendly room. And from here on out, you can say asked and answered." What this whole thing was yesterday was Dana asking tough questions, but knowing she's walking into a friendly room. When you are a candidate or somebody who is going to be in the hot seat, you know. This is why Kamala won't do anything on Fox. You know if you're walking into a friendly room, they'll push you, but not continue to push you. Okay. Dana would have never let that question go. With J.D. Vance or Donald Trump, that would have been the entire, 18 minutes. Would have been the whole thing. But it wasn't. It was just 2 pushes, and then I'm off it. And then we're going to do a happy, campaign commercial for you in the last, 5 minutes. So what this was, because you'll notice that Kamala also said that she doesn't want to deal in the past. We're about turning the page and just looking towards the future. We're not going to dwell on the past. So when somebody asks her about her flip-flop, I've already answered that question. My values haven't changed. Let's move on. We got to focus on the future. They only have to buy a few weeks. That's it. Was it next week or the week after? Pennsylvania starts to vote. If she isn't exposed soon, it'll be too late for places like Pennsylvania. But I'm just, again, not convinced that people believe her about fracking and people believe her about the economy. They might like her, but again, if you are aware of politics and you know these aren't good people, they're not good people. And you could say that about Donald Trump and, J.D. Vance too. Politicians are not good people. We should never trust them. And you know anything about her policies, you know how radical she really is. And even more so, Tim, the greatest father in the world, who just drags his kid on stage and says, knock it off. That was beautiful. He's even more radical. And I don't even know if that's possible, but that's what it appears to be. But if you don't know that and you're a low information voter and you are not paying attention, but you want to just see who she is, last night was a home run for you. Last night was a home run. And it gives her cover now to not do another interview, at least for a long while. Well, I did one. I'll try to schedule one by the end of September or, sometime in October when it's too late. It's fascinating to watch politics. I wish I was watching it in somebody else's country and not mine. I've got to hit Tim Walz on one of the worst answers. They were bad answers all the way along if you wanted actual facts. But listen to this. This is when he was asked about, I carried a gun in war. Listen to this.
The country is just starting to get to know you. I want to ask you a question about how you've described your service in the National Guard. You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country. Equally proud of my service in the public school classroom, whether it's Congress or the governor. My record speaks for itself, but I think people are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves.
What?
And I speak especially passionately about our children being shot in schools
What?
and around guns. So I think people know me. They know who I am. They know where my heart is. And
just said you
again,
would introduce
my record
yourself.
has been out there for over 40 years to speak for itself.
And the idea that you said that you were in war, did you misspeak as the campaign has said?
Yeah, I said we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting, the ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar is not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love.
Stop.
Slimy.
So his grammar isn't that good. I believe he's taught English to the Chinese in China. So a grammar thing probably shouldn't be that big of a problem for you, Tim. I'm just pointing that out. Let's point that out.
Yeah.
It was good enough to teach the Chinese in China. Probably good enough to say, I don't know how you make this grammatical error. Just like the gun I carried in war. That doesn't seem like a grammar problem. That seems like a lying problem.
Yeah, it's interesting because both you and I, people might point out the fact that we sort of speak English, but who knows? It's not really always all that close to correct. But yet neither of us have ever had a moment where we've said we may have been in war at some point, shooting the enemy. That's never slipped out of our mouth. With all the grammatical mistakes we have made over 20 plus years of doing the show together, neither of us have ever claimed to be Rambo. That's just never occurred. Yeah. I don't wonder why.
Well, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm the Jack the Ripper of the English language. I kill it in an alleyway almost every hour, okay? But like Stu said, I've never said, like when I was on the moon or when I was in war. Now, I've talked about World War II a lot, but I've never said, when I killed Hitler. No, never said that. No, never said that.
Not once.
It's kind of hard to butcher the language that much to where that comes mangled out of your mouth. Might be a mental problem. Might be.